Hello, my name is Charlson. I'm the Director of Technology at the Carroll Center for the Blind. Today I'd like to have you walk through the use of my Apple iPhone 5. Not everybody wants to do things the same way when it comes to Apple technology and their iPhones. So what I'm going to do is share with you how I use my iPhone. I'm going to start by unlocking it, pressing the power button.
1:48.
Tells me the time. Put my finger on the home button on the bottom of the screen and go up slowly.
Slide to unlock.
It says slide to unlock, which is not true. You double tap one finger in the center of the screen.
Messages.
And it speaks the first icon on the first row. On an Apple 5, these are laid out as 4 across and 5 up and down. I've drug and dropped all of my apps to be in a particular pattern on my screen. This may be just the nature of how I do things and organize thoughts, but I think it also makes some sense when you want to locate something quickly to know where it is located geographically across the screen. First application is Message, and this is used for text messaging. I primarily use this to text message when I know the person I'm trying to contact wouldn't be able to speak at the other end, so I'll send them a brief text message and wait for a text message back. I do most all of my texting using the dictate feature, which I'll demonstrate in a future video. Flicking to the right.
LinkedIn.
And again, all of my gestures are across the center of the screen. Flicking means your finger's in motion as it touches the screen. It slides across the face of the screen and is still in motion as it comes off the other side of the screen. This second application,
That's LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, is a social networking application used primarily to connect individuals as a result of their professions. I use this to keep track of other people working in adaptive technology, in rehabilitation, and in my hobbies as well. Flicking to the right.
Facebook.
Facebook. This is the main application used for accessing my Facebook account. This again is the official Facebook app. There are many other apps that will access Facebook, and perhaps we'll get to some of those during the series of these videos. Flicking to the right.
Twitter.
Twitter. This is my Twitter account. I actually have several accounts in Twitter so that I can browse what's happening in my profession, but also browse what's happening in my different outside interests. Flicking to the right again.
App Store.
It's now moved down to the second row. So my first row was all social networking, messaging, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. The second row begins with tasks that I perform fairly regularly. The first one is the App Store, where you go and get applications for your iPhone. In this particular case, it also tells you if any of your apps that you have an update available, and it indicates currently that I have one of my applications that have an update that I might want to go get soon. Flicking to the right.
Dropbox.
Dropbox. This is the popular application where you can store something on one of your devices and using the cloud, it will automatically duplicate those items on other devices. It's a great way not to have to carry around portable media, but also a great way for you to be sure that whatever version of something you're working on is the same version at work as it is at home. Flicking to the right.
Single text.
Single text. It's my text editor. It's what I use for taking notes. It's what I sometimes use for dashing off a quick email or a quick message for that matter. It uses an on-screen keyboard, but will also support a Bluetooth keyboard. Flicking to the right.
Reminders.
Reminders. This is, of course, the to-do-it list, where I keep track of all of the different appointments that I have, not really in the form of a calendar, but rather in the form of a series of lists of things to be done in specific areas. Flicking to the right.
Flight Track.
Flight Track. We've moved down to a new row now. These are the apps that I use most frequently for navigational purposes. I do quite a bit of flying, so Flight Track allows me to punch in my flight numbers and be able to tell if my flight's on time, what gate it's going to land on, what carousel my luggage is going to be on, these kinds of things. It'll also give me a chance to know what the nature of the plane is, so if the plane I have arranged to have a particular seat on has been swapped out for a smaller plane, I'll know to go in quickly in order to get a seat assignment before everybody else. Flicking to the right.
Where's MBTA?
Where's MBTA? I live in the Boston, Massachusetts metropolitan area, so I use the MBTA to get around. This is how I track where my bus is on the route. I punch in my home address, or at least the bus stop nearest my home address, and it will let me know when the bus is one stop away from my bus stop so I can hurry up and get there in time. When I get on the bus, I select my destination off a list, and again the phone will let me know when I'm one stop before my stop. I'll never miss getting off the bus again. Flicking to the right, Navigon. Navigon is a general purpose GPS application. It will give me directions by walking and by driving, and I purchased the maps for all of the United States. It is a mainstream application, and therefore sometimes when using it you have to use a bit of imagination to change it for you as a non-sighted user. Flicking to the right,
Taxi Magic.
Taxi Magic. It allows me to order taxis to come to wherever I happen to be. It gives me a list of the cab companies that service any area I might be in. Allows me to tell it I'd like a cab where I am, to indicate where I want to go, and to pay using stored credit card information. It also allows me to track the taxi, so I will know whether it's on its way to get me when the driver says it'll be here in 10 minutes, whether there's any truth to that. Flicking to the right and moving to a new row,
Replay.
I get to Uplay. Uplay is the player I use to enjoy YouTube videos, such as the one that you're viewing now. It is fully accessible, all of the buttons work and are properly labeled. Flicking to the right,
NFB Newsline.
NFB Newsline. This is my ability to read newspapers, not just the major newspapers, but many small area newspapers. It is provided by the National Federation of the Blind, and in different states they pay a fee to NFB to make these newspapers available to us. Here in Massachusetts, we have access to it through our Braille and Talking Book Library. Flicking to the right,
TuneIn Radio.
TuneIn Radio. This is how I go about listening to not only internet radio stations, but many terrestrial stations who double broadcast using the internet. So I can listen to the hometown baseball game even when I'm out of town. Flicking to the right,
Downcast.
Downcast. Downcast is a podcatcher. It allows me to download audio material and have it available to play when I have time to listen to it. I love National Public Radio, and I enjoy many of their programs, but I don't always have the free time to listen to them when they're being broadcast. So here I can listen to them at will. Flicking to the right, we'll go down one more row.
Learning Ally.
Now it's Learning Ally. This is formerly RFB&D, Recordings for the Blind and Dyslexic, now Learning Ally. I can download books onto my iPhone and use it as my primary reader for all Learning Ally books. Flicking to the right, Bleo. This is a purchase books system. It allows me to download voice-recorded books that I purchase. Its list of books isn't as extensive as some services, but it has some books that I can't get any other way. Flicking to the right, Read to Go. This is the application for accessing the people at Bookshare, a membership organization with a collection of downloadable e-text books in excess of 30,000 titles. At least last time I heard the number. It grows rapidly. It is a self-voicing application. That is, it doesn't use the voice-over voice to read with. You have a choice of a variety of different voices that you can choose to listen to your books. Flicking to the right, Audible, a mainstream application used to purchase, download, and play human voice recorded books. Again, if I'm not going to be patient enough for them to be placed in the library, here's how I can purchase them and listen to them. Now, when I flick one more time, notice those last four apps were all book reading apps. When I flick one more time,
page 1 of 3.
It's going to say I'm on page 1 of 3 because I've organized things so that my most popular apps are on my main screen and other apps are on future screens. If I continue to flick to the right,
Phone.
I'll land on phone. Because after all, this is an iPhone, and in the phone application I keep lists of all of the places that I frequently call. Because I have a terrible memory for phone numbers, I load this thing up and select numbers from lists of individuals. Flicking to the right,
Mail. 41 new items.
Mail. This is the same mail system that I'm using both the mail utility on my Macintosh computer and the Outlook program that I use on my Windows-based PC. All of them share the same, and as I read them here and delete them here, they're deleted on all of my devices. As I read them on some other device, they disappear off of this device. Flicking to the right,
Safari.
Safari is my web browser. This is what I use to do all web browsing both here, and it's very much the same on my Macintosh laptop. Now, if I do three-finger swipe
Page 2 of 3. Sports folder.
and go to
Tabs.
the second page, I'm going to see a series of folders containing applications of similar purpose. Flicking left once, hear the bonk noise that indicates I can't go any farther back. Flicking right,
Text reading folder. Tabs.
I have a text reading folder. This allows me to take pictures of text and then have it use OCR to be able to read that text aloud to me. Again, we'll be looking at some of these applications in future videos. All of the folders, or all of the items on the second screen are
Games folder. 5 apps.
folders.
Void folder. 1 new item. Reference folder. 4 apps. ID folder. 11 apps. Dining folder. 2 apps.
Each one of these folders can contain up to 16 applications. That's an increase from the 4S that was limited to around a dozen applications. We can put more into these folders. An item cannot both be in a folder and be on the desktop at the same time. So even though I might have a thing here called navigation apps, it doesn't contain any of the 4 applications on my main screen. That concludes my tour of my iPhone 5. I do have other pages with applications I've yet to play with, and hopefully we'll learn them together.